It's time to talk taxes.
New friends, new opportunities, new partners. EG Tax.
It's Ask the Tax Lady with Esther Gulius and EG Tax on News Radio 930 WBEN. To reach Esther now, call 803-0930. Toll free at 1-800-616-9236. And cell calls are free at star 930. And now, live from the WBEN studios, it's Esther Gulius.
Hello, my darlings. It's Esther Gulius, the tax lady, and this is our hour to talk taxes and finances and your budgets and anything that has to do with money. And we'd love to hear what you have to say. Our phone number here in studio is 803-0930. 803-0930, star 930 on a cell phone. And if you're calling from out of the area, the phone number is 1-800-616-9230 because we want to help you. And I'm joined in studio with Christopher Fabian. Hi, Chris.
Hello, Esther.
And congratulations on Rebecca's graduation today.
Yes, congratulations to all the UB graduates who are graduating this week.
Yep, and that was pretty remarkable. It kind of chokes you up when you realize like it's the closing of an era kind of thing, because now she's going to go on and be a lawyer.
Hopefully.
Yes.
And speaking of lawyers, what a segue!
That was a transition. We're real happy that one of the things we want to do this time of year is not just talk about taxes because it's not tax season, but everything that we do kind of has to do with money and it all kind of points back to taxes. But one of the things we have is our special speakers panel, and that's where Dennis Kitchen comes in, and we are so thankful today that Dennis took time out of his busy Saturday in this beautiful, balmy. Oh, it isn't a beautiful, balmy, is it, Dennis?
Right.
Yeah. Anyway,
Absolutely.
but he came in. Dennis Kitchen is like a general practitioner attorney. He's a wonderful man, and he's a great attorney, and he's been a personal friend of ours and of our company for a number of years. He's a great guy, and those of you that have used his services know what a fine man he is and what great legal help he can give you. And so today we're going to talk about how really law can help you with your finances, and we are giving kind of free legal advice. It is
Absolutely.
free, right, Den?
Yes.
And so Dennis Kitchen, without further ado, Dennis Kitchen, and your office is on Main Street in Clarence, right?
Yes, it is. At 8899 Main in Clarence.
And if you should need some legal help, Dennis and his team of specialists will be very happy to help you. His phone number is 631-5661. All right, so we're going to talk about kind of how your money can be affected by legal issues, and we wanted to talk about that. And we thought we'd start off with identity theft, because identity theft is, I think they're saying that's the number one
Oh, it is.
problem,
Yes.
crime in the United States, right?
Yeah. A thief can go into a store and maybe shoplift a few trinkets, but he could sit at home in front of his computer and
Really
and
shoplift.
steal thousands if he just gets the raw material for other thieves to exploit, such as Social Security numbers, credit card numbers, and other identifying materials, and sells them, passes them along. He can make money just doing that.
Right.
If it's a really good credit card number, Social Security number, and the whole package, he can get several $100s for that and sell it.
So really, he doesn't have to use the information.
Right.
He can just be the collector of information.
That's right.
And
That's
pass
right.
it on.
That's right. And you're not going to get law enforcement to investigate these kinds of crimes like they will investigate violent crimes or other what they would consider larger, fish to fry.
Right. So how does one know? I know that we when we're talking about taxes, we know when identity theft has happened with a tax return because, right, Chris, the return will reject.
Oh, definitely. The return IRS comes back saying, "I'm sorry, your return was already processed under the Social Security number."
Now, how would somebody know if they, outside of their tax return, had their identity stolen?
Well, the first thing probably to look at or to do on a regular basis is when you get your credit card statement, review it. look for something that seems out of place and odd. Cooperate with your credit card company, who occasionally wants to contact you and ask you whether, did you buy something in Pennsylvania? Because you don't live down there.
Right.
And if that's the case, you say, well, no, I did not. Somebody else is using my number. They will cancel your number and they will issue you a new card and send it right out to you, because they don't want charges like that to happen.
Right. And the thing is, it's really interesting. A lot of things that we talk about are things that people should do, and one of the things you should do is order your credit statement from the credit bureau. I think freecreditreport.com is one of them that you can get your actual credit card report, not credit card, your credit report.
Yes. Now that's a private company, freecreditreport.com, and when you contact them, you can do it online. They will get you your credit report. They will also want to sell you a monitoring service, which you may or may not be interested in. If instead you go on the site annualcreditreport.com, that's the one that's sanctioned by the federal government, and they will simply get you your annual free credit report. That's free as in you don't pay anything for it.
So that's annual?
Yes.
Annualcreditreport.com.
And you would get it, yes, and you would get it from all three. That's what you want, is you want it from all three of the credit reporting agencies. There are three biggies. One is Experian, one is Equifax, and the third one is TransUnion,
yeah.
Right. And they've been around for a long time.
All right, so let's say you get your credit report.
Yes.
And you look at it and you say, gee, I don't have this credit card. So what do you do? I mean, how does someone like an attorney figure into credit fraud?
Well, sometimes an attorney is necessary for this. A lot of credit errors, credit report errors, can be fixed yourself. When they send you the report, they will tell you what the procedure is. For the most part, it's singling out each one and writing a letter or a notice to them and tell them, along with some supporting documentation if you have it, to show that, oh no, you were wrong. I didn't pay this payment late. I never signed up for this credit card. I never made this application for a credit card, because all those are things that drive down your credit score and make you less creditworthy. So you want to eliminate them.
All right. So if, let's say that you look at something and you find out you got a Capital One account that you never had.
Correct.
And you write them and you say, this is not right. First thing you'd want to do is cancel the Capital One account, right?
Well, you of course would want to do that. So you might want to contact Capital One as well. But you certainly want to tell the credit reporting company that you've never had a Capital One account,
right,
and that you want that off your credit report.
Right. And is there a point in time where if it doesn't come off, that's where you would seek legal help?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, that's actually occurred in some cases where a customer trying to contact the credit reporting agency and demanded for a change to be made, an error to be corrected. It was either refused or ignored, and that has turned into million-dollar lawsuits against them. So they are required by law to respond, and respond quickly. So you can usually find some pretty good service out of them.
I mean, isn't it like if you see, we'll still pick on Capital One, that they had you 60 days late, where you can write to the credit union, not the credit union, the credit reporting agency, and say, I have proof, here's all my checks, and then they have, once they report it back to Capital One has like 30 days to report back, and if they don't, then it just automatically...
There are time limits where they give the lender an opportunity to dispute the dispute, and hopefully it would be resolved that way.
And so, but here's the thing. Anything that anybody tells you, like some of the tips that we give on Ask the Tax Lady, is it only works if you do it. I mean, if you never pull your credit report, and you never write, and you don't write to the credit bureau that's given that information that might be faulty, then nothing can get fixed.
That's right. And you get a free one every 12 months.
Right.
So why not do it?
That's right. I'm Esther Golias, the tax lady, in studio with Christopher Fabian and our special guest, Dennis Kitchen, who is a super duper attorney. And I'm going to tell you, if you got some legal questions, give us a call in studio, 8030930, 8030930, star 930 on a cell phone. We're talking about identity theft. We're talking about clean start with your credit. We're talking about repairing your credit. We're talking about wills, trusts. If you have a question, free legal advice, 8030930, 8030930, star 930 on a cell phone. We're going to take a short break and be back in a minute. I don't know, Tyler. That just sounds like a bunch of guitars out of tune. Now, who can that be?
That's the Gin Blossoms.
They've had too many of those gins. I'm Esther Golias, the tax lady from EG Tax, and we're talking taxes, money, and we're very blessed to have Dennis Kitchen, a wonderful attorney and friend and great guy who's here in studio that's going to give you free legal advice. And we're talking right now about repairing your credit, identity theft, and all of this kind of points back to your tax return, because many times if you have been a victim of identity theft and something serious has happened, that can actually end up to be a casualty loss, right, Chris?
Definitely. I mean, depending on how much money they take and what the circumstances was, and if you did all the proper procedures, you can use it as an itemized deduction.
So in the event that somebody you did suffer a loss that couldn't be rectified, and you did all those procedures, you went and did all your due diligence, then that ends up to be a tax deduction. But what we're talking about right now in studio here is how to fix your credit, how to get a fresh start. What if you have identity theft? Reading your credit report, all of those kind of things to help you out. And we have Jerry, who's been waiting. Hey, Jerry, how can we help you?
Hi, how are you?
Great. What can we talk to you about?
Thank you so much for taking my call. What I'm concerned about, I'm a father of two young children, and my daughter has just turned 18.
Uh-huh.
Now, through Blue Cross and Blue Shield, my identity was stolen, and their Social Security numbers and identity was also stolen.
Uh-huh.
So what can I do to make sure that my young children's credit is not destroyed going into the future? If you know what I'm saying.
Yep, I gotcha. So, I mean, obviously, the only way you can do it, it seems to me, Dennis, is to be proactive and keep pulling those credit reports and making sure that somebody isn't using it, because until it really happens, you don't know that they're going to use it, do you?
Exactly. And my whole concern is that these are my young children who do not even have any credit yet.
But
this information was stolen, and it could be used anywhere around the world.
But again, until it's really used, correct me if I'm wrong, Dennis, there's really nothing that you can do except keep monitoring it and maybe do something like LifeLock, right?
Well, you can do the LifeLock.
I don't want to pay for anything.
Right.
I'm sorry, but there's got to be some sort of safeguards in order that I really shouldn't have to pay for. I mean, they stole my identity.
Well, if you can find the thief and sue him, maybe you've got a good case. But the problem is right now you're just going to you're trying to defend yourself against others.
I'm trying to defend my children, sir.
Yes, understandable. Your children's identities may be attractive to certain identity thieves because they have pristine credit because they've never used it.
Exactly.
All right. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to monitor their credit by running their credit reports every year. Check and see what's.
If they have no credit, if they've never established any credit, how is it that I monitor their credit.
You by requesting a credit
Right.
report using their identity,
right.
and
Security number.
Right.
Yes.
Just because they haven't gotten credit doesn't mean that they don't have a credit report. The credit report would say that they're minor children, they don't have any income, da 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 da, and that's what you'd want it to say. You wouldn't want the credit report to say Lucy is a 6-year-old child and has a car. I mean, those kind of things. So it's when you monitor these credit reports that you find out that here's a problem.
Ma'am, this is my point. My children's Social Security numbers have been,
Taken.
compromised.
Right, you're right. But there's no vehicle, Jerry. But there's no vehicle, Jerry, to rectify that at all. You're not going to be able to get a new Social Security number. Your only thing,
I'm not asking for that. I'm just saying it's
frustrating.
It's just it behooves me what I should do.
Jerry.
These are young children
Right.
without any credit.
Jerry, I know most, when Target got hacked a while ago, and I hate to say that name over the air like that, but when these big department stores, things like that, when they get hacked, they offer free services for at least a year. I would call Blue Cross Blue Shield and say, what are you going to do for me
That's right.
and my children? We would like this, and let them come back and say yes or no.
I will tell you, yes, they did offer 2 years of credit protection, but they said that's for me. They didn't say anything about.
Well,
my
maybe you
children.
need to call Jerry and say, "How about my children?"
yeah, and at the very least monitor
Am
that.
I the only one that's called about this? Is there anyone else that's called about this?
No, we just went on the air 20 minutes ago. We just started talking
I'm
about
just
it.
saying in
Yeah.
history.
Oh, I'm sure.
I think-
Jerry,
I think
what
the
you're
hacking-
saying, you have you're frustrated, and I certainly understand that. But unfortunately, until a crime is committed, there's nothing much you can do. And I think what I would do is just like Christopher said, call Blue Cross and Blue Shield and say, not only was my credit stolen, but my children's Social Security numbers
which
and
have not even been used yet for
right,
credit.
Right.
That's my whole point. And I think that many others have been exposed in this way.
Sure.
And guess what? Down the road, we're going to be screwed. I'm sorry to say that, but guess what? It looks like something big is going to be happening because they're going to take all these credit card numbers and they're going to start creating accounts.
Well,
we know nothing about.
All right, but the thing is, I have to tell you, if you've worked with many of these credit card companies, they're very savvy, and like what Dennis was saying at the beginning of the show, is that if your credit card company contacts you and says, "Gee, did you just buy a widget in Pennsylvania?" You want to make sure that
call
you.
my young daughter, 18 years old, and say that to her.
Yeah.
They don't even know. They don't
Yes.
even know her phone number.
Yeah, but she's not going to get the credit if the thief
Right.
says that, oh, yeah, I'm 18 years old. No, they're going to say she's 38 years old.
Right.
And they're going to call her up eventually, and she says, gee, I'm only
Which
18.
number? They're going to call China or they're going to call the Philippines. And
That's
call
right.
whoever
And
they're gonna call.
when they get the wrong number, they're going to deny that credit.
And then they will reverse the charges.
Remember, some of this is a lot of just
I'm
self-correcting.
talking about establishing credit. I'm not talking about someone that
Jerry,
has.
you don't have to have established credit in order to have a credit report. Just because you have an established credit doesn't mean that you don't have a credit report. But that's what I would suggest that you do, and I think probably contacting
Blue Cross
Blue Cross Blue Shield would be your best resort. But I certainly understand his frustration. I'm Esther Golias, the tax lady from EG Tax. We have Dennis Kitchen, our special attorney, here in studio to help you with your credit. If you are having trouble with not only stolen credit but repairing credit, right?
Correct.
Dennis. 8030930, 8030930, star 930 on a cell phone, and let's go to Frank. Hey, Frank, how can we help you?
Hi, Esther.
Hi.
Dennis, how are you today?
Good.
Good. Yeah, I had the same thing happen to me. I had mine credit stolen through Blue Cross and Blue Shield as well as the federal government, which is, ironically, you'd think that they'd have safeguards in there to take care of it, but they didn't. I don't know whether it was used yet, so I might try that website. In fact, I'm going to take down that if you guys have that website available that I can.
Annualcreditreport.com.
Annual credit report.
I think that's the most important thing is to, sometimes we don't really want to look at these things because we're afraid of what they might say, but I think that's really important to do. Pull your credit report, and like I say, freecreditreport.com, like Dennis says, they'll probably try to sell you something, but the annualcreditreport.com is once a year.
That's
right?
government sanctioned.
Right.
You might also consider going on credit.com. It's got a lot of general information, a lot of links to a lot of other resources.
Now, let me ask you this, Dennis, and Frank, don't hang up. Can't a class action suit be brought against a company like Target or Blue Cross Blue Shield
sure.
on for all these people who've had their identity stolen, that they could get some kind of remuneration from the company?
There is a possibility of this sort of thing, but that's one reason that they offer these services, like the credit monitoring. And, of course, if it results in an actual loss, they would probably cover the loss, depending on what they've already stated they're going to be doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if they know, and let's face it, if they know which numbers and names and that sort of thing have been stolen, then credit people are forewarned as to the possibility of extending credit to a thief.
Right.
So,
but somebody like Frank here that's had his credit stolen, is there any way that he could sue?
Well, you'd have to show probably an actual loss.
Okay, but what if Frank finds out there is an actual loss?
Well, then it's saying, hey, here's my loss. A lot of these losses are particular sums of dollars and cents. So you could say, hey, look, I lost $300 and it was because of this.
Right.
Then I want my $300.
Okay, Frank?
I got one more question. I don't know if it's related to actual credit repair.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, Frank. What we're going to do is we're going to take a short break for the news. Can you hang on till after the other side?
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Frank. I'm Esther Gulius, the tax lady from EG Tax. 8030930, 8030930, star 930 on the cell phone. We're going to be back on the other side with Dennis Kitchen, Christopher Fabian, and your questions. See you on the other side. That's a nice kind of song.
A little more in tune for you.
Yes, that is. You mean old-fashioned. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. That's my kind of music, Tyler. I'm Esther Gulius, the tax lady from EG Tax. We're joined in studio with Christopher Fabian and Dennis Kitchen, our attorney in residence here today. If you would like some free legal help, if you're wondering about your credit, maybe you have bad credit, maybe you're wondering about how to repair your credit, maybe you've been a victim of identity theft, join us here in studio, 8030930, 8030930, star 930 on a cell phone. But we were talking during the news break about it isn't just young, like the gentleman with the young children, right? He was so worried about, but also seniors are people that should be very concerned because many of them are not electronically savvy, so they would never go to freecreditreport.com. Didn't you say you have a client that had their credit stolen when they went into a...
I did. A lovely couple went into an assisted living center, and so we're talking about 78, 79 years old, and their power of attorney got a phone call saying, hey, you just opened up a Victoria's Secret's credit card. And luckily the power of attorney said, no, we didn't. And so they caught it right away, but it was someone inside the assisted living facility that took it. But what you're saying, but most elderly people like that, they're not going for a mortgage. They usually don't open up new credit cards, so they don't pay attention to their credit. Right. So you're right. They are the ones who are true, who could be very vulnerable to it. And they have to, if you're taking care of someone, you should pull their credit also.
Credit report. That's exactly right. But the other thing is, and I think just to ease everybody, that are listening, because everybody's going, oh my gosh, they're going to steal everything. The truth is, the credit card companies are are on the hook for and watching for your credit to not get stolen. And as a matter of fact, that's what a lot of these chip readers, you think, oh, I'd rather swipe than chip. But those chip readers are there to make stealing your credit more difficult. If you swipe the card, then the only one that's responsible is the merchant, not the credit card company. So you'd want to make sure that you insert your card rather than swipe the card, because the credit card company backs it if it was inserted. Right, Chris?
That's right.
Versus
That's
swiped.
right. Yep. Swiping is bad, supposedly. No.
And so what happens, like I'll give you an example at EG Tax. We made a decision because the credit card company says, well, if you don't get the chip reader, then you're responsible for any theft that happens on the credit card.
Sure.
So we said, well, you know what? We're really not going to have we know everything about the people. We know their birthday. We know their social security. We know everything about.
You have their tax returns.
Right, and we got their tax return. But we said, no, you know what? We're going to use the chip reader because that's what should happen. What I was surprised at is that many, many merchants are not using the chip reader because it costs money to get the chip reader.
Sure.
But the truth is, for you as a consumer, you'd want to use the chip reader because that means that the onus falls back to the credit card company, who really is looking out for your best interest.
Probably eventually they'll all have chip readers sooner or later.
Right,
and,
right. But
we'll
if you can get
chips.
somebody who's a chipper, it's better than a non-chipper, right?
But what's amazing is these people who don't like the chip reader will be the ones using their phones to go up to a credit card machine and tapping. So all their information is on their phone. So if their phone gets hacked,
That's true.
they're
Or stolen or dropped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Okay, let's go back to the phones, and we got Mary. Hey, Mary, how can we help you?
Hello. Thank you for taking my call. I'm 79 years old. I worked until I was 73. Between my husband and I and my income, at that point, I've had this credit card for 10 years. Since then, I was no longer able to work since about 5-6 years ago. My husband passed away, and when he passed away, our only income was Social Security. I got his.
Mm-hmm.
And all those years that I worked, I don't know where it went, but I didn't get mine. I do get his. So I worked for 25 years. They took out that Social Security, but I'm no longer getting it. So consequently, it's very difficult for me to pay off this one particular credit card.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've had it for so long. In the course of a year, I paid $1,200. Only $500 of that went to the original debt.
Mm-hmm.
$700 of it was taken in interest.
Right.
Is there some way, without filing bankruptcy, I could consolidate this, get the payments lower? And I'll never be able to pay it off in my lifetime because it's under $5,000, but it's still I'm going to be 80 in September.
Right, right. Dennis, there is such a thing as making a deal with the credit card company, and they would forgive part of the balance, would they not?
There is that possibility, particularly if you're a person who, under maybe other circumstances, would be eligible for a bankruptcy. And I frequently have people come in who have, a debt they can't pay, but it's a debt that's down in that range of, say, under $5,000, and we just don't recommend a bankruptcy for that sort of thing. We try and recommend maybe working it out. One way to work it out is to actually talk to the creditor and say, look, here's my situation. Here's my income. Here's a copy of my income tax return, or at least the figures from it and that sort of thing. I simply can't do this, but I do have a lump sum that's in my IRA or in my 401k, or I have somebody.
I don't have any of that. I'm sorry. My only income is my husband's Social Security.
I see.
He passed away almost 2 years ago.
Or I have.
I do have other debts, but bankruptcy is not an option because I'm in a senior building that is somehow it's compensated through HUD, and we're not allowed to file bankruptcy because if we do, then we get 30 days we have to move.
Okay.
And I can't do that either. So
Right.
I'm-
So
I'm
here's
between a rock and a hard place.
here's
right now.
some-
I
here's-
just don't know what to do.
well, here's some of the things that I've and that's strange. I've never heard of that either.
Yes.
And I would double check to make sure that that's correct, Mary, because I think bankruptcy laws are federal and New York State laws, and they're to protect your credit.
And they
I-
prohibit discrimination.
That's right. So I would
It's in the lease. It's in there.
that you
And
can't
that's
file
the
a
first
bankruptcy.
question when we applied for.
No, it said, did you
residency,
file a
they-
bankruptcy?
they-
But it would. I can't believe that it would preclude you from ever doing a bankruptcy. And since we're broaching the subject, you know, bankruptcy is there as a protection for people to help you with your credit. And I understand that you don't want to file bankruptcy as some bankruptcy, but sometimes for people that are listening, it may be the best option for you. And the truth is, after the bankruptcy, your credit is actually better than before. But another thing she might do is miss some payments. If she misses
Yes.
payments on that credit card, they're
No,
more
I've never-
apt.
never
They're
missed
more
one, never
apt to
been late.
talk to her.
Yes. The other aspect of it is, Mary, is you may be what we call judgment proof. In other words, if you simply stopped paying it, and even if they sued you and got a judgment against you, they have nothing
Nothing
that
to
they
get.
could take from you. And by the way, if you're not getting your own Social Security, you might make an appointment with the Social Security there.
Well, when he died, they figured it that I would get his. I don't know how they
It was
calculate
his
that,
was
but-
probably more than yours.
yeah,
Right.
Oh,
right.
most definitely.
Well,
So
that's
that's
why.
why.
That's why,
Okay,
Mary.
that's
I
I'm
don't.
why.
grateful that I got that, but
Right.
it seems like all those years, all that money they took out, where did it
But
go?
Mary.